Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast for the final stage of the Critérium du Dauphiné Stage 8, as well as Tour de Suisse we watched as well, but we'll do the Critérium du Dauphiné first. We won't be doing daily coverage of Swiss all week, but we happen to watch quite a pivotal stage, actually. Anyway, Dauphiné, they finish up Mont-Cenis, which I think was used in Tour de l'Avenir, maybe last year or the year before. Sometimes they do climbs in Tour de l'Avenir. Last year's a good example. They did Fenestra, and then the Giro did it. The stage is different to the other stages. A lot of accumulated climbing, still short, 133 Ks. They really had short stages this year in the Dauphiné. Some hills at the start, and then it gets progressively harder going up hills. 7K, 6.7%, 2.5K, 7.5%, 6.3K, 6%, and then Mont-Cenis is 10K, 7%. No scary gradients. There's a beautiful plateau for the last 6Ks past the a lake, which is, very nice. I also can run up to a lake called Estagny Blau, which I intend to do. And I'm actually going to Tignes tomorrow, Benji.
Really?
Speaking of lakes.
Ooh. And what are you going to do at the lake?
Altitude camp.
An altitude camp, my friend. That's so nice. Are you not going to be very sad after you were so angry yesterday that Australia lost the World Test Championships to South Africa that you stumbled your toe into a couch, or what happened?
Yeah, well, I did break one of my toes, but kicking a couch, but that was just because it was dark in the morning and I couldn't see it. So I obviously abused the couch, said, "What are you doing there?" It said, "Maybe you should mind where you're going." But that did indeed happen. But yeah, this, if you're injured, for example, I remember, this is a shout out to those of you who maybe have fallen off the wagon or you want to get back in shape for summer. Join Cycling's recovery plan. Remember, I had my own weight loss journey, still in the midst of it, and to join Cycling, like the recovery plan, is what got me moving and back on track more than anything else. Mainly because it was so achievable. You look at your first week's workouts, and you're like, "That's too easy. That's too easy. I want it to be harder." That's the point. You're supposed to get wins going. It's supposed to create a habit. So I would encourage you, if you've maybe had a few weeks off the bike, you're struggling to get back into it. Sometimes I have a bit of guilt. Oh, you let your fitness go. Just do the recovery plan. And by the end of the recovery plan, you'll already be back in really, really good shape. Or if you're past that, you can do the Lanterne Rouge plan as well. But I did it in January 2024 last year and completely changed my fitness trajectory.
Of course, and if you are using Join Cycling, don't forget to join the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast group, because then I can compare my own activities with you. That's important, huh? Because I'm also comparing with you, Patrick. I'm sorry, but we got to try and keep up with each other.
Well, yeah, I've been running. The mountain running still counts. I try to do like the altitude adjusted watts thing to explain how hard my hikes are. And Benji doesn't have a bar of it. Anyway, the Dauphiné stage, a breakaway formation we obviously didn't see. That's not permitted. But the right break goes, but for one person. We will discuss this in a second, but I'll run through the list. It's all the right names, pretty much. Van Gils, by the way, Van Gils, he looked ass after Andalusia. This Dauphiné, he has been really good. This Dauphiné, Maxim Van Gils. He's looking yesterday, even the puncher stage he was attacking on stage 1. He's right where he needs to be before the first week of the Tour de France. Sepp Kuss, Tobias Foss, Valentin Perepinche, Lenny Martinez, Bruno Amarel, Ben Healy, Mathieu Van der Poel, Jake Stewart, Alexei Lutsenko, Ivan Romeo. I've missed one name out intentionally. All those people are good riders, good climbers, no threat to GC. Pogačar, normally you don't believe him when he says he doesn't want to go for the win. In this case, I think they really did want the break to win because he wants to take his 100th win at the Tour de France. And he's already got 3 stage wins this week. So I really think UAE wanted the break to win today. The problem is one man, Enric Mas. He's on 7:43 on GC, gets in the break with the best tug buddy you could hope for, a 72-kilo all-rounder like Romeo, and he is 10th in GC before the stage, 2 seconds behind Carlos Rodriguez, 19 seconds behind Tullet, 25 behind Jorgensen. Visma obviously don't care about defending 7th, 8th. He's behind Sechas, but Amarel's in the break. Johannessen's on 5:55, just under 2 minutes behind Enrique. The gap goes to 4 minutes, Benji. UAE don't blink. Visma obviously don't blink. Yeah. Who else doesn't blink? Ineos don't blink. X in 5th start pacing, and I actually don't blame them. I blame Mas and Movistar.
Okay, I see them both ways. As in, I'm okay with X's situation where they're like, okay, what else are we gonna do in this stage? We know if we maybe make it harder. Johannesson was better yesterday than Remco at the finish line. Maybe he can take some time back and maybe something happens there. But most importantly, we got to make sure he doesn't get attacked and his position doesn't get attacked. And by Mas being in the breakaway, that's a problem for X and for Holland Johannesson. And if nobody else blinks, someone has to blink. And I don't mind X being the one that eventually blinks, because half of their riders, what else were they going to do anyway? It's the last stage of the Dauphiné. You might as well go all in to defend the position you're in the first place. Talking about the breakaway, I somewhat agree with your point. As in, on one end, I don't necessarily mind Movistar choosing to go in the breakaway with Romeo and Mas. The downside is, this puts a restraint on the breakaway and allows the breakaway to take a very limited amount of time, because someone will blink. This time it's X. They're the one that blinks, and they're the ones that start pacing behind this breakaway because Mas is in there. If Mas is not in there, this break gets quite a bit of time, and this break is riding to the victory with Romeo in it for Movistar and so forth. But because Mas is there, that's because the time gap is restricted. Now, what don't you like about Mas being there?
He can't win. He's not going to win from the break because he's going to get lent on. He's going to have to do the most work on the climb. That did eventually happen. Romeo, could he have won? Probably not, but maybe Romeo could have done a Fuga de la Fuga if he didn't have to pull all day. Is Mas going for his GC? Is he going for the stage? I don't know. It's like, in the end, I think he moves up one GC spot, mainly because Tullet... Oh no, he does move up three GC spots. So he moves up from 10th to 7th in a 1 week. Is that worth it?
Yeah. In my opinion, yes.
Okay.
I think it is because he does
I
get
would
helped
rather
by
be
the fact
Bahrain
that...
victorious today.
Yeah, true, but they didn't have a rider like that in their race. And yes, they could have potentially won the stage with Romeo, but I don't necessarily mind that. Yes, you could have said, okay, Mas can go for GC, but we won't fully destroy Romeo in the process to still have the ability to go for the stage. But if they don't use Romeo, then this breakaway is going to have no time at all, and the peloton wins. So I'm not that much against what Movistar did today. They increased their positions in GC as a consequence of their move. That is one thing. Oppositely, they had a chance for the victory. Yes, maybe a very reduced one because Mas is in the breakaway, but I don't necessarily hate it from my perspective. That being said, one man did miss it on top of that, Julien Bernard. He tried to jump towards it, failed in doing so, but doesn't take away from the good week he's had all week so far. But after this, we see an attack in the breakaway. Midway the stage, roughly. The gap is... I would say the gap to the breakaway didn't go explosive because of the X spacing. Towards the broadcast starting, it was maybe 2 minutes at that point.
So X use their riders really smartly. So they've got not a deep squad of climbers here. They have like Varenskold. What's he going to do for you? So what they do is they use Varenskold, and he does a death pull in the flat section before the first climb, and he brings it to 2:10 from 4 minutes. So they use him really well. Court was really good today. Leknesund was the main guy pulling. This is actually what Leknesund is best at. He can't sprint. He can't do like 10-minute watt per kilo that well. He can't descend, but he can actually ride on rolling terrain very, very hard for a very long time. So this was actually the perfect use of Leknesund. And yeah, X were impressive. They got no help. They got no help from Bora. Bora had Van Gils in the break. Decathlon had Armirail. And Ineos indeed had Foss. So they got no help. And to control a break like that with Romeo pulling all out, pretty impressive.
That is true. MVDP was the one attacking in the breakaway, though. And that man attacking there, that Fuga de la Fuga, I did feel like there was a chance he could have made it. Much of on the pool in this situation. Because the gap towards the chasing group, you've always got this group 2 syndrome. And he's attacking this breakaway somewhere, I think it was in the descent of the Col de Bonne. And he makes that gap, and it becomes maybe a minute on the chasing group of the other breakaway riders. And then, yeah, the actual peloton is actually relatively close to that chasing group at this point in the race. But Mathieu van der Poel, a Fuga de la Fuga like that, it could work, but there's quite a bit of climbing left in the race, and that's the downside of it. But I also felt like there was a certain point in this race where his descending also wasn't faster than the chasing group anymore. Was that because something happened in the descent?
Yeah, Van der Poel nearly crashes. He then gets like really gun shy on the descent, and I think his stage is done there. Basically, he needed to probably go quicker than the chase group on the descent. He reminded me. He then started to look like Jonas Rickard. I'm sure you were all watching. There was a descent in Tour of Turkey before the pivotal HC climb, and it was slippery. And basically, Thibaut Del Grosso, if you're listening or tweeting, you'll comment on it. He did tweet about it actually, and yeah, Jonas Rickard was looking like Van der Poel there, and Romeo was smashing. Guys were missing corners in the breakaway. Thankfully, I mean, I actually feel sorry for Pogačar, Benji, because his domestiques are the fucking nightmare blunt rotation of descenders. Like Soler, Sivakov, and Pollitt. After the first descent, it was Pollitt in front. He dropped the wheel to Uno-X and he brought Pog back. The next descent, first corner, Pog just went in front of Pollitt and said, fuck off. Like, I'm just going to descend behind Magnus Cort. But the problem is Leknesson cannot descend. So the first split was created because I think Leknesson dropped to Cort, and Cort was like, what are you doing? And they started abusing him because Cort didn't realize he was off the wheel. They lost like 10 seconds there.
Yeah, but it came back together eventually, because otherwise you have a small group riding off with pretty important rounds. I think Pog and Vingegaard were in the split together with a few of the Court boys at that point in the descent. But nonetheless, it all comes back together, and we have the same situation we had on top of that climb, and we're going towards the last climb of the day, the Col du Mont-Cenis, with Van der Poel still a gap on the second chasing group, but it's starting to reduce. It's not a minute anymore. It's back to half a minute, 25 seconds. He's going to get caught by the better climbers on that climb. And then it's looking at that second group who are going to be the better climbers. Is Lutsenko in godlike form? Back in the day, Tour de France stage win form? Is it going to be Enric Mas, who you expect to be one of the best climbers? Martinez has looked shit for the first half of this race. Is he going to step up today? Possibility. Valentin Paré-Pancher, what we'll see from him, because he's been a bit anonymous in certain stages so far. Voss, I don't really feel it. Kuss, pretty solid climber, but I don't know what are their plan with Visma Lease bike. Are they still planning something on the final climb here? You mentioned Van Gils already solid climbers, so we've got solid climbers in that chasing group. Now, Van der Poel gets caught, and it's Martinez and Mas that end up going away together, and I'll skip through with the breakaway first. Did you feel like Martinez specifically chose to attack when Mas grabbed the beat on from that motorbike?
Martinez was smart here. I mean, his Palmares this year is incredible. He was obviously terrible all this week, pretty much. Fell out of GC hugely. He lent on Mas. He didn't put a foot wrong in the brake, and then he killed Mas. And Mas was like, I think Mas was also like hungry because he also slid really fast. Did you back in the GC group? I think Van der Poel.
You mean hungry for a win?
No, like literally hungry. Like he was hunger flatting or something.
Okay. I was really confused what you meant.
Enric's not hungry for a win, dude. He is trying to move up from 10th to 7th on GC in a 1 week race. The back in the peloton, yeah, Pogačar's seen Van der Poel's drop from the breakaway group, so he gets Pollitt to start driving it, so that if Sepp Kuss is getting close to the win, he can go a bit closer. But actually he was just making Pollitt pace to just keep control of things. It was like the gap was going out. It was to 117. UAE were actually chilling. But what happened was Johannesson jumped, because Johannesson's run out of domestiques, and then there's Enrique Mas up the road, so he has to do something himself, and then Jorgensen follows him, and then Pogačar follows Jorgensen with Vingegaard on the wheel, or maybe no, Remco was there. I don't know. There's three of them.
But in their wheel, boom, someone crashes. It's Saz, I'm pretty sure, that crashes as the first rider of the group and takes a few riders with him. Higuita, Toshentran, Dunbar all hit the deck. And we never really see Sixas coming back after this. He does have Berthet, who's pacing for him from this point onwards, so let's hope he's physically okay, or little Paul. And then after that, we basically see first C-Rod, Carlos Rodriguez taking over in that group, because he knows, okay, half of my competitors are on the ground, so I might as well keep driving it. And then Wellens takes over for UAE, and Wellens' tempo it's a solid tempo, but it's not the Wellens tempo we saw the other day. It's once again, like you say, to make it look like UAE controlling the situation, making sure that Johannesson doesn't try a second attack, stuff like that. But that doesn't work because Johannesson does try a second attack when Wellens is almost done with his pool. When that second Holland Johannesson attack comes, Wellens keeps riding for a little bit, and then eventually we see a reaction. Go ahead.
He was riding hard. Rodriguez was dropped. Pogacar tells Wellens to slow down and to do it like they did on how they chased Lipovic on Saxo X.
Yes.
So don't bring Lipovic, don't bring Johannesson back straight away because then someone else will go. I think he was saying just like gradually bring him back at the top, and then Rodriguez comes back. Remco jumps to the right hand side. I think.
Correct. And in his wheel, instant reaction by Jonas. Tadej responds to Jonas, so we've got a trio riding off at this point, and we don't see reaction from Lipovic, which that's somewhat his riding style. He is the kind of rider that prefers doing his own tempo, but he still had a teammate. Do you know who it was?
Van Gils from the break.
Teammate? What, sorry?
Was it not Van Gils dropped from the breakaway?
That makes a lot of sense. I was trying to figure that puzzle out, but it's pretty obvious that it's Van Gils, actually. And he does come back eventually, but it took a while. When Van Gils was done for, Lipovic had to do it alone. Eventually, he crawls back, but I think Jorgensen was sitting in the wheel of Lipovic for a bit as well.
Yeah, so Lipovic does it steady. Valentin Parapantra waits from the breakaway. Remco catches up to him, and then you have a Van Gils, two satellite riders from the break, pacing at the same speed pretty much. Then they both pull off, and Lipovic does close Remco, but then Vingegaard goes, not a big like attack, no one responds. Pogacar's in the wheel, doing it easy, and then Vingegaard says, "You're going to ride." Pogacar kind of rides a bit, but he's like, "Not really." I mean,
mate,
if we get to the top quicker and we all stop the shenanigans, sure, I'll take a pull.
I was thinking two things. My sarcastic mind was thinking, okay, Visma Lease bike should employ the strategy propaganda machine.
For sure.
They should ride all out with Jonas Vingegaard to make sure Pogacar wins the stage, to then launch a Pogacar is greedy campaign on social media.
Dude, they should have. Vingegaard should have chased Lenny. Imagine they chased down poor old little Lenny Martinez, nowhere on GC. Yeah. It would have been so funny.
But on the opposite side, Pogacar looked like he was like, okay, please, Jonas, please, stop pacing. I don't want this victory.
But
I want my 100th
victory
to come at the Tour de France. But sorry?
Why was Vingegaard pacing?
Wow. I'm sorry, but you might as well keep going, eh? Like, you're second in GC anyway, you might as well race. I have no issue with that. Like, if you have any chance to win the stage, you might as well try.
Yeah, but you're not going to win the stage because
you're
going to pull. You're going to, yeah, you won't
Pogacar
win.
Starts, yeah, Pogacar will most likely beat you.
Pogacar's going to do 20% of the work, which is what was happening.
What's he supposed to do? Is he supposed to just sit up and wait until they're called by Remco again and just ride over the finish line like nothing happened? You might as well try and race a bit.
I don't know, just start like sprinting. I don't know. It kind of reminded me of Kuyol. Like, they chased down. I mean, Carapaz had himself to blame for that disaster with him and Enric. By the way, I rewatched that before Finestra, and I was like, this is the Carapaz. He's got it in him to do this. Because like Carapaz should have won that stage. He sold himself.
Yeah.
Like, if you're the strongest in the group and you finesse the most to the point where you get caught, you're the idiot. You're not smart. Complete tangent. But yeah, and in the end, Lenny Martinez wins. Really, like, it was impressive, Benji. Okay, were Vingegaard and Pogacar going full throttle in the last 2.5 Ks? Probably not. But they were going fast enough to be dropping every single other GC contender, and he didn't lose any time on the climb. He only started to lose time on the plateau, so he was absolutely flying. I mean, he put 40 seconds into Mas.
It also doesn't really matter if he's flying or not. At the end of the day, he's the strongest of the breakaway, and I can name 100 stage victories from breakaway riders where we can accurately say the reason that breakaway rider won is because the GC riders were playing around in the group behind. That's realistic. Go do at La Vuelta, for example, when 2020, whatever, 2022, 2021 maybe, probably 2021. His second stage victory was also because they were playing around behind. There's numerous victories like that by breakaway riders. But that's the whole point of a breakaway. You're trying to get ahead in the hopes that there's shit at the back and they can't get to you, or the gap is too large and they can't get to you anyway, or they fuck around and they can't get to you. And then you can take the stage win. That doesn't change anything about the prestige of winning the stage in the first place. You want a breakaway stage at the Dauphiné, and it was super impressive.
I mean, Lenny Martinez this year, he's got 3 victories at the highest level. Paris-Nice from the GC group. Catalonia, was 5th on GC. Alps Maritime, he podiumed. Who won that?
Was the third victory?
Him and Santi sold that. Flesh 4th. Romandy 2nd with a stage win. From the GC group on Tillon in front of Almeida. And now one wins the stage of the Dauphiné. I mean, that's the best. That's the best stage hunting palmares of anybody this year by far, outside of like the GC, like a Pogačar.
That's true. That is very true. And when it comes to the Tour de France, like he's going to the Tour de France with the idea of a GC, is my expectation. But that doesn't restrict him from not having the chance of a stage win. It will not be easy to get a stage win. That's obvious, but it's definitely possible for Lenny Martinez. It's very realistic that Lenny Martinez finishes the Tour de France with a stage victory. If he drops out of GC, he can win from the breakaway. If he stays in GC, he can try and benefit in a similar fashion as against Almeida in Romandy, but that's going to be less likely. You need to... he needs to benefit from Vingegaard and Pogačar playing around and then attacking in that kind of style. Because otherwise, he can't beat them 1v1 on a mountaintop finish, you know?
Yeah, I only see it from the break, to be honest.
Same.
I think he's got to hope that Pogačar obliterates Vingegaard, takes like 4 wins by the second week, and doesn't want to anger France and lets Lenny win Col de la Loze from the break or something. That's the way for him to win a stage, I would say. But yeah, really impressive from Lenny. In terms of the GC gaps, there are actually some changes, like we said. Some riders who looked good throughout the race really fell through the ice. Seixas, I mean, I don't think he fell through the ice. I think he just crashed. When you look at the gap as well, he finishes to Lipovic on 120 behind. It's hard. I don't think he collapsed. I think he just had a crash, and that really sucks. His bike was barely working. It's no surprise. I think Armirel dropped back to help him. The Ben Tullett falls out of GC completely. He falls from 8th to 12th. He loses 6 minutes on this stage, so he like completely blows up because that's behind like Lawrence Pithy. Hey, Pithy just quietly is in shape. I saw Pithy sidling up with Lipovic at one point on the climb. Pithy finishes on 4 minutes to Pogačar and Vingegaard. Oh, less than that, 3:30. So he's actually coming to good shape. But yeah, Tullett finishes like 2 minutes behind him. So he clearly had a bad day. And the final GC, Pogačar wins a minute ahead of Vingegaard. Lipovic third, 2:38. Evenepoel fourth, 4:21. Johannesson fifth, 6:12. Jorgensen moves to sixth, 7:28. Mars 7:57. Seixas drops 2 spots because of the crash, 8:25. Carlos Rodriguez in 9th, 8:57, and Guillaume Martin, who actually that's a very good result. 10th in the Dauphiné is a very good result. He finishes on 10:01.
Yeah, Pogačar wins the Critérium du Dauphiné for the first time in his career.
Time, yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he almost never rides it because he sometimes chooses Slovenia, sometimes altitude camp. So first time that he wins this race, and it's another addition to his palmarès. He does it dominantly. We said it already yesterday, basically, our thoughts on the whole GC and so forth. Status quo from before the Dauphiné for me. I see Pogačar in the same position I thought he was, as in the clear favorite for the Tour de France, and I don't see Jonas Vingegaard at the moment that has stepped up to the point that I see him qualified to be able to beat Pogačar at this Tour de France. It's always possible. He can still step up. It's still 3 weeks and a bit until the actual climb start in the Tour de France, the actual mountain, so stuff there is possible, but right now you have to look at Pogačar as a clear favorite. It's as simple as that. Best cyclist in the world, and the Vingegaard when it comes to climbing is not close at the moment.
No, and also I think for Vingegaard, to win, he has to be closer. You can't lose 1 minute on a 20-minute climb. Even if Pogačar starts the Tour de France with Cofidis, if you lose 1 minute on a 20-minute climb, he's going to win. But will remain to see what happens in Swiss. I think, the teams still will play a huge role, especially in that first 10 days before they hit the mountains. But yeah, Pogacar is deservedly after the TT wobble the heavy favourite for the Tour de France. And I would say the gap also from Jonas to Remco is bigger than I expected. Because Remco said he was in good shape for this Dauphiné.
I agree, but I would say that the gap from Jonas to the rest overall is not as big as I expected it to be. I expected Remco to be closer, but then I was surprised by Lipovic to how close he was in this race. So it's kind of the combination of both, you know? So I also see Remco as underperforming a little bit compared to the expectations at this race. He's also still got space to work with in terms of time, because last year at the Dauphiné he was dog shit. So this time he's in better shape than last year at the Dauphiné. But the question then is, how much better can he become to the Tour de France if he says that he's already closer to Tour de France form? That's my question there.
Yeah.
Either way, seeing this Dauphiné does not mean these riders will arrive with the same exact form at the Tour de France. That's still time away. And of course, as someone who loves cycling as a close battle, I hope it gets closer by the time the Tour de France hits so that it's a super entertaining Tour de France. At the moment, it looks like it's going to be a bit of a domination when it comes to Tadej Pogacar, but that's not his problem. It's on the others to get better.
Yeah, exactly. Pogacar did what he needed to do. Maybe the only question mark was the TT, but in the end, in the TT, he lost, I don't know, like 30 seconds or something, and then he took a minute on the next uphill finish. So that netted out pretty comfortably. He could have taken more time yesterday as well. He could have taken at least 30 seconds rather than 14 when he eased up. So he wins the Dauphiné at a canter. I would say his team looked good in parts and then bad in others. So like their peak level, so like Narvaez on stage 6, crazy. Like that's more than almost you expected. Sivakov yesterday, he was the MVP. Wellens on that stage 6, also the MVP. But then on other stages, they were kind of worse than you'd expect. Soler was bad. So
we talk about the elephant in the room, the part of the day where UAE didn't succeed very well. To the Swiss.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was like, they won 3 stages in GC at the Dauphiné. Like they were pretty good. Like and Pogacar never had to close a gap himself. So like, I was like, I thought they were. I mean, I was critiquing a bit, but they were pretty good. Yes. Okay, that's the Dauphiné wrapped up. Tour de Suisse. The opening stage is a tricky one in bad conditions, 130 Ks. The women did exactly the same course this morning, and it was chaotic. Well, not actually for the women, it was less chaotic. The men's, it's all about this Michaelskreuz climb, 4Ks, 9%, which comes in the first 20 kilometers, and then rolling flat mostly on big roads before they do it again. It crests 15 Ks from the finish, pouring cats and dogs. Almeida is the heavy favorite here. Like I did not know how he could not win this race. There's an uphill TT where he should obliterate everybody. He could lose every bonus sprint. It doesn't matter. He should win this race so easily. And there was carnage in break formation, Benji.
Mate, UAE is trying not to win this based on what I saw today. Nonetheless, there was carnage in break formation. A large breakaway went up the road. I'm talking like 30 riders at a certain point. And there's like solid riders in there. Obviously, stage hunters like Romain Grégoire, like Vauquelin, like
Grégoire's here for GC.
Kemna. What, sorry?
Vauquelin and Grégoire here for GC.
Yeah, but we can say that, but in this specific situation... I'm sorry, but with this start list, everyone can go for GC. It's Almeida and a huge gap.
Yeah, but they made it like a puncher race this year.
That's fair. That is fair. But
still,
what I'm trying to say is, large breakaway, lots of riders that could win this specific stage.
Dangerous guys.
But it could also be GC hunters, riders that go for GC. Especially Ben O'Connor is also in there, which the guy did pretty well at Grand Tours last year, getting third and fourth at one. Obviously, his pure climbing, he's not the best. He's not the best climber in the world. I wouldn't classify him in the top 10 best climbers in the world. But he's one of the better racers as a GC rider. And he finds a way to always put himself in a position where he can benefit from other people fucking up. And I feel like that happened today. Because that large breakaway also included... Was Fortunato also in there, by the way?
I believe so, yeah.
This man just came back from the Giro.
So what happened is some of the UAE team didn't get over the first climb. And so this first steep opening climb, the brake doesn't form before it. And then that means that Jan Christian crashes again. As I said, I mean, he's going to ruin his career if he doesn't sort that. And he managed to stick in he's tougher than me because he finished with the GC group, the lead guys today, and he had his bibs torn up. But he was crashed, getting attention at the back. Almeida was in the peloton, and then they put Großschartner in the break because Großschartner just came second in Slovenia, and so they sort of went will be represented in the break. But when you have the clear odds-on favorite, just pace.
Yeah,
I would say
it's true. It's the same criticism we had to SD-Works multiple times in the past, where when they see a dangerous breakaway go up the road, they choose to put a Bredewold in it. Yes, Bredewold had a chance in those breakaways, but at the end of the day, it's a worse situation because ideally you control that breakaway. It's a large breakaway, but it's controllable in some way if you just put a team at the front and start pacing the entire day. It's a choice you have to make. It's a sacrifice you have to make if you want to give Almeida the best possible pedestal to go off this week. If Almeida loses a minute today, that's fine. As long as you reduced it, lost it to a minute, that's all fine. But the gap expanded and went up to 3-4 minutes at a certain point in the race. And a large breakaway group obviously starts to fight in between each other. But they also realize, okay, we want to keep this group going. And is it on the big Michael Schrass or whatever the climb is called that it exploded in the breakaway again towards the end of the race?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is not just that O'Connor's in, it's that O'Connor's in with two teammates and Luke Durbridge, who's just riding full gas in the valley. So there's Tug Buddies, there's Morich, there's loads of guys riding for their GC guy, Lebert for Vauquelin. He's riding full gas in the valley. So that's the problem. Krat for Lemon. And it gets out of hand. Of course, there's passengers, but 3 minutes is a big gap. And indeed, it explodes on that climb. Bart Lemon accelerates after O'Connor paced for quite a while. O'Connor was riding for his GC position. And then Lemon accelerates. He brings with him Vauquelin, Gregoire, and Julien Alaphilippe. The four make it over the top. The descent, they start Gregoire, Vauquelin, Lemon, Alaphilippe. The motorbike's in front of Gregoire, really dangerous on the wet descent. Gregoire drills it so fast. Surprised the motorbike, surprises Vauquelin. Vauquelin leaves the gap. Gregoire notices it. He was probably trying to do it. And he's off and he wins. He basically solos from that descent. And the other three can't get together and bring him back. The motorbike at 13 k's to go nearly crashes at 100 kilometers an hour. That would have been really bad. Sketchiest thing I've seen in a while. And the dude on the back. Yeah, there's a dude on the back. Nearly gets bucked off the bike.
And 1 second after that happening, the dude on the back stands up and starts filming the race again, as if nothing happened.
And then they're still on the descent and they're getting right between the two rides. What if they're closing it from behind? It's bro, you are out of control. But that was crazy. Gregoire wins another. He's still winning. Great day for France. They also win. Paul Magnier beats Philipsen in Brugge, in Elfstead and Ronde de Brugge. So the triple French victory today. But yeah, Gregoire's won Ardèche and now Tour de Suisse, his first World Tour win of the year. So Gregoire's good.
Yep. That's a good way to sum this up. And it's also, it was close for a little bit. In certain moments of the last 10 kilometers, there were moments that the chasers, Lemon, Vauquelin, Alaphilippe were on 6 seconds, 7 seconds. I was invested in okay, can they come back or not? Gregoire was just better in the sense, was stronger overall in my opinion. Yeah. So Gregoire ends up winning this race, and I can't wait to see what he does in the future, because this is one of those guys that we saw grow up from that Groupama FDJ Conti team, and we've seen him step by step move up in terms of results, and I feel like he's coming very close to the point where I expect a Tour de France stage victory within the next 2 years for Gregoire.
Yeah, that's what Lenny's path is on, and probably that's what he'll hope for too. The next 3 stages look pretty good for him unless they go crazy on the Splugen Pass. Stage 6 looks good for him. Stage 7 maybe is a bit hard. But yeah, the problem for Almeida now is he's lost 3 minutes on more than that. On GC, he's 3:22 behind Gregoire. He does have Großschartner on 1:17, but to set a pace for Almeida to attack, Großschartner will have to also pace. So it's yeah, I mean, Almeida has to go on the offensive if he wants to win GC now. He's got a lot of guys ahead of him.
For sure. And like, I still believe Almeida will win the stage race, but they won't win it if they do it one more time like this. So they need to fix their crap and actually act like the team with the favorite in the coming stages, because they can't do this again. And the other teams will smell blood if they see the opportunity in the same way as today, where UAE cannot control breakaway formation today. Then maybe they'll try it again in 2 days or the day after. And then UAE will have to do something different, because if you keep giving 3 minutes to half the peloton, you'll end up in a situation where Almeida starts the most important stage here 9 minutes behind. I heard you told me there was a rumor that the Queen stage might be in trouble, or
well, if the weather continues to be really, really bad, then maybe the Splugen Pass I thought could be in doubt, but I didn't. That might not be the case. But yeah,
it was revealed to you in a dream.
Yeah, well, it was revealed to me in the rain today. I think a lot of the guys, you're right, Benji, you'll be smelling blood in that you're Oscar Onley, Victor Langalotti, Tish Benoit, Peyo Bilbao, all these guys, you'll be looking at the guys who just took 3 minutes for free in the breakaway and thinking, that should have been me. That should have been me. I should have jumped.
And there's climbs in the start of multiple stages here.
Yeah. And it's not like the 5 mountaintop finishes last year where Almeida can just clean up a minute and a half every day. So might be a better race than we anticipated, actually. Because we all thought it was Almeida Stomp.
I still expect it to be Almeida Stomp, but UAE can't fuck up anymore then.
Okie dokie. That was the recap of Tour de Suisse. Thanks for listening as always, and we'll see you with a weekly show coming up this week if our schedule permits it. Benji, I don't know what he's up to, but yeah, I'm traveling tomorrow, so maybe a bit after that.
Going to an altitude camp in Oxford.
Really?
My roof.
Oh yeah. Is the weather good?
No. Actually, it's very on and off here right now. There's like heat wave one day, torrential rain the next day, heat wave the next day, torrential rain the next day. So it's either too hot to ride your bike outside right now or absolutely torrential rain. So I'm not sure which one I like more.
It both sounds like a tropical Australia. Okay, hope you enjoyed it as always, and we'll see you with a pod coming your way this week. Ciao, 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 ciao.